critical factor for us in Africa and other places is the development of the specialty of physical medicine and rehabilitation. The other doctors are good at treating the diseases, but they often leave the patients with significant disabilities, depression. They don't integrate back into the communities. They don't get back to their family and work. And there is a specialty in medicine that is just about absent in Africa and very seldomly used in other countries, which has evidence-based proof that we can help people get back to life, get back to work, save their country's economies, and have people die less simply because we improve their function.
Sadly, in South Africa, physiatry, or rather being a rehabilitation practitioner, is not a recognized speciality, and it really should be, because it is indeed a speciality which is so broad, requires so much skill, so much expertise, and yet it's not recognized.
I fell into rehabilitation many years ago by accident. So after qualifying as a new doctor and completing my internship, I was working in a general hospital which had a 166-bedded spinal injuries unit. And unfortunately, one of the problems of practicing physical rehabilitation medicine in Africa is that there was never an opportunity to be able to become specialized in any field of physical rehabilitation medicine, or physiatry, as you call it in the States. There was no further study you could do, so it was learning by osmosis and learning from your peers. So yes, I'm excited to be still part of the rehabilitation, although scaled down, and I'm very excited to learn from my colleagues that they are now starting to do a fellowship degree or fellowship course in rehabilitation medicine.
What I would really like to achieve with this fellowship is to have it recognized not only by our boards, College of Medicine of South Africa, but also by our fellow physicians who have absolutely no idea, for instance, what a speech therapist does or what an occupational therapist does. The idea of rehabilitation is essentially step down and physiotherapy. They don't have any idea on the importance, for instance, of spinal rehabilitation, stroke rehabilitation. Actually, we should be involved right from the outset in managing spinal cord injured patients, even when they're in the ICU. But because nobody understands what we do, that isn't happening.
And hopefully in South Africa and the rest of Africa, we will get ourselves recognized as specialists.
I got involved in the fellowship through Dr. V. Wilson. She's a colleague and a mentor to me, and she's been sort of very active in the field of medical rehabilitation for rehabilitation in South Africa, and she introduced me to the fellowship. Okay, so if PM&R was recognized in South Africa as a speciality, I think it would mean a lot to the practitioners in terms of just acknowledgement and special training and furthering our skills. But it would obviously also benefit the patients, because if we can expand our skill set, we have a better way of treating all our patients.
Constantly thinking that I wanted to quit medicine. I just couldn't find my passion, but I found my passion working here. But in terms of the rehabilitation fellowship, it's amazing to have support in terms of sort of internationally what is happening in the rehabilitation world.
So we have a lot of doctors that's really experienced in the field of rehab medicine specifically, but none of them have had any formal training in terms of diplomas or specializations, degrees, or anything like that. And I think the last almost year and a half with the IRF has been amazing, because all of those doctors are able to connect now, which has not been the case before. I take part in a lot of the activities that's not what you call non-billable hours. So sitting in a team meeting like the one you were in today, sitting in the family meetings, which are so important. That's a half an hour. Like today, it was an hour of my time. That's not billable. So if you are working as a private GP that's just billing for your time in a rehab facility, you won't be able to do those things.
If in South Africa physical medical rehabilitation is recognized, I think it would mean a great deal, because currently, especially in terms of state-owned enterprises, we only have 2 in the country. One is in Cape Town and this is the other hospital. A lot of private hospitals are available where they do rehab. And I think this would benefit even teaching, taking forward for young doctors to learn the importance of rehab. It's not just about operating or the acute management of a patient, but it's also about quality of life later on, which that's what we emphasize on. And I think the more we do have specialists in the field and that are recognized in the field, the more we will be able to teach the junior doctors that, and the more we'll be able to promote the need for this within the country.
So at the age of 16, I was involved in a motor vehicle accident. In South Africa, we have vehicles that we call bakkies, which are pickup trucks around the rest of the world. And the vehicle rolled, and I was left a quadriplegic. So there's no doubt that we have won some battles in South Africa and in Cape Town. Access is still a challenge, but if we take the significant or the major tourist attractions and spots into account, access has improved remarkably. There's no doubt that very often, I won't say all the time, but very often the needs of people with mobility impairments are considered. So Table Mountain, for example, they have a pathway which is accessible and meets UA standards and criteria. Transport, when I had my accident, there was 0 accessible transport. We now do have a transport system which, although very limited, only covers a limited area. It is fully accessible and can accommodate people with various impairments. There is a need to roll that out across the whole city. It is happening, but it's a big infrastructural upgrade, so it will take a long time. We don't have a Disability Act, which is something which we fight for. I don't know that I'll see it in my lifetime, but hopefully we can put the foundations in place. Well, as an organisation, we want to get our members living their lives to their full potential. We do believe that one of the best ways to do that is get people economically active. Our grant system in the country has challenges. They are insufficient. You can't live off your grant, and sometimes whole families have to live and be supported off one grant, which is just not sustainable. So we want to get people working. We want to see people living the lives that they want, and that's important. Is that we can't prescribe to people what they do, how they go about their lives, and how they enjoy their lives. So we want to give people opportunities so that they can make choices that are their own, that improve their lives, whatever that may be.
Rehabilitation medicine as an accepted field in South Africa would be, I think it would be amazing. We would add so much more value to this whole field of medical practice, because we don't study any of this in our 6 years medical school. Not doing internship and community service either. So it's a completely new field. There's no specific training for rehabilitation medicine. We're normal general practitioners that have just, by working in the field, gained experience and knowledge and learned through mistakes how to, make this a discipline. Okay, so being part of the IRF has made, I think, a big impact on our lives. We've got quite a lot of subacutes in South Africa with doctors working there, but we don't know each other. We've never spent any time together, we don't have conferences, there's no way that we ever connect. So now for the first time, we're kind of not in competition with each other, but we are one group of doctors.
Rehab medicine has been my passion since the mid-90s, because I was involved in quite by accident via my military training in a rehab facility, and then I had the opportunity to go and work in the UK at a place called Stoke Mandeville, where I got exposed to the field of rehab medicine. Came back to South Africa to finish my orthopedic training, and then had the need to help, because there was no formal, or there still is no formal training, but we developed the principles that I was taught in the UK into a viable practice. The interesting thing is that actually we had it as an official discipline in the mid-1980s. We have a board, or what we call the College of Medicine of South Africa, and there's a separate board called the College of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. It was a vibrant specialty in the mid-1980s, but then with the transition to our new democracy, the funding for that got cut. And unfortunately, the college or the board fell dormant. We have now a unique problem in South Africa, problem in brackets, but that board has now been allocated to sports medicine. So South Africa is in the unique situation that we have a board certification in sports medicine, which is actually a separate, or should be a part of PMNR. We're busy in the process through our South African Society of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation of petitioning the college again. We hopefully will start off as a diploma course, where the IRF fellowship will be recognized as a postgraduate diploma as part of family medicine. That would be our first step. The next step after that would be to develop it into a graduate degree. For that, we will need the endorsement of some of the universities. We've made provisional contact with the University of Stellenbosch down in the Cape Province. We've also managed to get some input into the Wits University in Johannesburg, and here in Pretoria, the Sifaku Mahatu Medical University are looking at developing it as part. And once we get to a certain critical mass of universities that will offer it as an official training program for the postgraduate graduates, then we can petition the college, and from the college it will have to go to the Health Professionals Council, and thereon from the government. To my mind, South Africa has always been the gateway to Africa, and a lot of what happens comes through South Africa to a large degree. That's not arrogant, that's purely economical. And I think we do in our sphere, in the medical sphere, we also form the bedrock of training a lot of specialists for the rest of Africa. If we can get PMNR as a discipline in South Africa, and we can replicate the training programs that already exist in South Africa, that would make a huge difference in Africa as a whole, in my opinion.